things that, you know, the directors thing that says, let's go. All right. So everyone, again, I'm Tanisa Conwright, a work readiness specialist at the San Diego Housing Commission. And today I'm going to facilitate this workshop where we're going to be talking about tips for a positive interview. Today, you will learn basics and goals for interviewing, how to research, prepare, and act during an interview, informational and phone interview best practices, and what to bring to an interview. Okay, so let's start out by describing what an interview actually is. So an interview is the opportunity for organizations to get to meet you. I like to call it your calling card, right? They've seen your resume, they've seen your application by this time, and they're interested in getting to know a little bit more about you. So an interview is an essential part of the hiring process. We know that because it typically determines whether or not you will move forward with the organization. It's a path to the job. It's a way to know your value and whether you're a good fit. It's definitely a learning opportunity. Not only is it an opportunity for the organization to learn more about you, it's also an opportunity for you to learn more about the organization. Remember, it should be a two-way street. It should be more so a conversation so that as interviewing you, you're also interviewing them. And definitely is going to be stressful, right? Because who likes to be on the hot seat? Nobody. So it's definitely a stressful experience. Basically, you should not take the outcome personally. You don't really know what they're looking for at the end of the day. They give you an indication of what they're looking for. And you come with that information. Okay, you're looking to fill this customer service position. But there's all underlying things that they're looking for as well, which is information that they're definitely not going to tell you, right? Sometimes they don't even know internally, kind of like, oh, well, no, when we see it. So it's something that you cannot take personally. It does not mean that you are a bad person or that you can't interview or that, anything is wrong with you. It's typically just that you weren't a good fit for the organization, right? Or it could have even been that they had someone in mind that they already wanted to hire and they just had to do the interviews and the hiring process as a formality. So you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So definitely take it personal. Feel free to interrupt me at any time throughout the presentation. I'm always open for questions or feedback pertaining to the information that we're sharing here today. So the goal of the interview is to learn more about the company and the specific job opportunity. Anytime you go into an interview, you should have already researched the company to see more about who they are and what they do and about the specific job opportunity, right? So you definitely want to know, if you're coming to apply at the Housing Commission, you definitely want to know what it is that we do. And we do a lot. So I would recommend, starting this a couple of days before, at least the day before you go into the interview, so that you can have some things to about if we ask, or if the company asks, so tell me what you know about this, because that is a thing, that is actually a question. And then know about the specific job opportunity that they're looking to fill, because you will be able to ask questions as well. And the more you know about the job opportunity, the better informed questions you can ask them about the job opportunity. 2 is determine whether you are a good fit for the job and if the job is a good fit for you, right? So remember, I was saying that it's a back and forth process. You also want to be learning about them as they're learning about you. And you want to be kind of checking them out, right? If this is in person, then you want to be checking out what everything looks like. What does the company look like? Are they going to give company tours? Sometimes folks like take you through a couple of different departments, kind of show you what you'll be doing, you'll be sitting. Is it what you want to do and where you want to be? That's definitely important I remember going on an interview for a small company. It was an office position, and they were interviewing me, but the person interviewing me had a dog, and it was like a big dog. And the dog was like, just chilling under the desk. And they were like, oh yeah, this is our office dog. And, he roams around with us every day. And in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, no, I can't work here because I don't like dogs. So to have an office dog that I would have to deal with every day, like, no, that's just not for me. Right. So things like that is kind of like what you want to be checking for. Is it an environment that you're going to feel comfortable in every day when you go to work? Interview is definitely the time for you to show your value. So you want to show them why they should select you for this particular position. And so what that means is basically talking about your results, your impact, why you're a good fit for the company, why your values and beliefs may align with the company, if you want to get deep. But just showing them that you're the best person for the job and that you're not just there for a check, right? Like you don't want to show up saying, oh, I'm interviewing for this job because you guys are paying $25 an hour. And that sounds good to me. Like, no, that's not what you want to do. Definitely not what you want to do when you're interviewing, because then they're going to feel like, oh, okay, well, she's just showing up for the check. Like she's not really interested in the work that we do. And fourth goal would be to get a second interview or to get hired. So you want them to like you enough to move you on to the next step. Anybody have questions about that so far? Feedback about that so far? Okay. What interviewers want? They definitely want someone who is enthusiastic about the job that you're going to be doing. Think about yourself. You don't really want to go to work with folks that aren't, excited and happy about being there, because it'll make a long 8 hours if that's the case. So when you're interviewing, make sure that you maintain your enthusiasm and talk about the job from a space of you being excited and energetic about the position that they have to offer. You want to be confident. And we talked about showing your value on the slide before this. So you definitely want to be confident and show your confidence when it comes to explaining to them how you can get the job done. Again, you want to show them and them stories about, how you are a person to get things done. Give them different examples about how you've excelled in your last positions. Have good communication skills. I say know how to read the room. Sometimes when we kind of go on and on and on and on, that's usually something that you can pick up from people. When they just kind of like zone out, that's something that you want to be able to kind of pay attention to so that you can wrap up your answers and don't continue to beat a dead horse. You want to show them your problem-solving skills. So let me tell you about a time when. You definitely want to have verbiage like that to let them know how you react in situational events. And then your technical skills. So your technical skills are going to be, any certifications you have. If you're in the medical field, you have your CPR, you have your basic life support certification in, typing. If you know how to utilize Microsoft Office Suite, those types of things you want to talk up as well. Whatever computer systems you're fluent in, accounting systems, any technical pertaining to the field in which you plan to go into. Any technical skills that are listed on the job opportunity. So if they say, they're looking for someone with QuickBooks experience and you have written QuickBooks experience on your resume, you need to be talking about what you've done in QuickBooks during the interview so that they can get an indication of how experienced you are within that specific software. And of course, your soft skills. Soft skills, including teamwork, initiative, strong work ethic. You want to tell them and show them how you've been proactive and solution oriented and a self-starter. And then, of course, again, give examples of similar work and our accomplishments. Informational interviews. So with informational interviews, those are more so trying to find out more about what the person does, see if it's a good fit for you. For example, if you wanted to become the CEO of the Housing Commission, right, you would set up an informational interview with the CEO of the Housing Commission. Just ask them more about what he does and how did he get there? Like, what does a typical day look like? What do you have for someone like me who wants to become CEO? That would be the purpose, right, of an informational interview. And it doesn't have to be, with someone who's a CEO. It can be with anybody. If you want to be a nurse, if you want to be a dentist, or you want to be a dental assistant, whatever it is that you want to do, what you want to do is try to get access to informational interviews prior to actually applying, those positions, because it'll give you additional information that you need in order to be successful with getting your foot through the door in that next industry that you want. So the purpose of the informational interview is to, again, gather advice, to build your network, because after you talk to them, now they're going to know you. And then you can ask them, who else do you suggest to talk to? If I want to be a nurse. And then the nurse may say, oh, talk to Sally over here in phlebotomy. She may have some good things to tell you about, what it's like being a phlebotomist. So you expand your network that way. You get insight professional. So someone who's already there can definitely help you, give you feedback to get where they are. And then you learn more about the company and the position that they. So when an informational interview, in order to succeed, you definitely want to prepare your questions in advance. Usually the folks that you're going to do informational interviews with, they don't have a lot of time. So you definitely want to come well prepared with your questions in advance and keep it short, because they are going to want to maximize, the 20 minutes or 30 minutes they've agreed to share with you. And the last thing that they see when they show up is that you're unprepared and you don't know what to ask, and you're just kind of all over the place, because then it kind of can feel like a waste of time. You want to request their business card for additional networking opportunities, and ask them like, hey, are you in any professional associations I should join? Any community groups you would suggest me being a part of? Any other organizations that I should volunteer at? Things of that nature. And then always just send a thank you card or an email to thank them, and make sure that.
Okay, looks like Tanisa, can you hear us? Looks like we may have lost her. Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
There, we got her. We got her back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my internet connection is unstable, unfortunately. But I'm good now, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Where'd I leave off at?
You were talking about learn about a company and the position.
The company and the way up there. Okay. So going into how to be successful then at an informational interview, right, Monica?
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely prepare in advance, because if you're to spend 20 to 30 minutes with the person is going to expect to be prepared because they don't have a lot of time. So when you're pressed for time, you want the person to come prepared and ready to roll. Last thing you want is for them to not really know what to ask you, really know what they're trying to get out of the meeting, and to have you, working overboard for something that they ask you to do. So you want to prepare your questions in advance. You want to keep your questions short and to the point. And And then you want to request business card networking opportunities. So you may want to ask them, hey, is there a professional organization that you suggest I be part of? Are there any organizations in the community that I could perhaps volunteer at? Any community meetings that I can join if I'm interested in learning more about this? So you always want them to connect to the next step so that you can have the next opportunity. And then send them a thank you card or an email according to policy. Some companies have policies where they can accept any, like tokens of thank you, like a gift card or anything of monetary value. So just kind of know that and stay with the policy. And it's best to just send an email nowadays saying thank you, for your support, or even an old-fashioned thank you card. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get a whole pack of thank you for $1 and just send those out. Those work just as good. So phone interviews, when you are doing a phone interview, you definitely want to find a quiet, distraction-free place to make the call. You don't want to have people in the background making noise, and you don't want to be outside if possible, because people can hear wind, and sometimes it makes it hard to hear the person on the call, on the phone. And then definitely make sure that it's distraction-free, because since you're on the phone, you have to focus more because you're not sitting in front of a person. So make sure it's just somewhere where you can be distraction and actually focus. Make sure that you have good reception. I'm thinking about this meeting. I don't have good reception right now, but I don't really know what to do about that because it's my Wi-Fi and I can't control it. So, but I know when you're on the phone, you do have the ability to like walk to a part of the house or, take the call at a building that has good reception. Have a copy of your resume and the job description so that you can talk to the questions that they're asking you. They will probably, usually in interviews, folks refer to your resume and say, oh, tell me more about when you were working at the Housing Commission. What was that like? And you want to refer to what you put it at the Housing Commission so that you can speak from an intelligent point of view. You want to be like, oh, at the Housing Commission, what did I do at the Housing Commission? Like, you want to do any of that because it's going to make you look bad, and then it's going to make you question your resume. Like, did you really do what you put on here, or did you just put it on here to make it look good? So you want to have it readily available, because remember, interviews can be nerve-wracking, and you can tend to forget stuff because the nervousness and the stress and all of that. So if you have a copy, then you don't have to remember, really. It can give you at least the bullet points of what you can speak to, right? And then also have the job description nearby, because they're going to be talking to you again about what it is that they're looking for. Make sure you smile, because people can tell when you smile. It sounds totally different than talking like this. You don't want to have a phone interview when you're talking like this, because this sounds like you have no interest in the job, right? So even though they can't see you, make sure you put your smile on. Have your calendar nearby, because they may say, we'd like to schedule a second interview on Tuesday at 4. Are you available? You don't want to say, oh, check, I'll get back to you. Like, that's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that you can give them an answer before you hang up the phone with them, right? Because remember, the goal of the interview is to take it to the next step. And being able to have your will automatically secure that next step, which is, hey, we want to interview you again on Tuesday, or hey, can you start, in weeks? You want to know if you can or not. If you have a trip planned, then okay, I can't start in the next 2 weeks because I have a trip planned. How about the week after? Is that an option? So you want to be able to do those things at the time of the interview. You don't want to do them after, because it makes the interviewer say, why didn't she say that when we were talking to her? You know, because then if we'd known, we could have X, Y, and Z after that. Right? Okay. So write down the key points made and questions to ask. You should always, always, always have questions. Even if it's tell me what you're looking for the person that fills this role. What does the day in the life look like in this position? What are the advancement opportunities for individuals who have started in this position? Always have at least 1 to 2 questions to ask at the end of, any interview that you ever have. Pause before you answer to give yourself time to think and to give yourself time to breathe. And avoid saying, it's very hard to do. So you may have to practice with others so that you can count yourself and recognize and realize when you're saying it so that you can avoid saying it moving forward. Confirming the interview details. So congratulations. Once you get to the face-to-face interview, you're going to confirm the details, right? So you want to confirm and thank the person who confirmed the interview. You want to ask for the names and titles of the people who will be interviewing you. Usually the person who confirms the interview is like the receptionist who sets up all the appointments. So you definitely want to thank them. You want to get to know their name as well, so that if Julie is calling you to confirm your interview time, if you show up on location and you see Julie, like hey, Julie, good to see you. Nice to meet you in person, right? You want to start building that rapport. And then you want to ask for the names and titles of your interviewers, because Julie may have set up the interview, but you could be meeting Monica when you get there. And Monica could be like, who are you? And who are you here to see? So you want to know, oh, I'm here to see, Rick and Jeff, basically. Get the directions to the interview location. Get the directions. Find out where to park and what to do when you arrive. I go check out the place before I have to be at the place, usually the day before, so that I know what to expect on the next day. So for instance, when I interviewed at the Housing Commission, I circled around it a couple times because I didn't know where to park. And I didn't realize they have a parking structure. So I did that the day before so that on the day of, I didn't have to waste that 5-10 minutes going in circles because I didn't know where the heck I was going. So those types of things you definitely want to get out of the way before it's time to actually be there, because once you know where you're going and you're sure of it, it cuts down on the stress and anxiety that you'll have, from just having to go interview. These are some of the same things that we spoke about earlier. Before the interview, you want to research the company and the position, research your interviewer, if you know the names of your interviewer. Plan your attire. Anything that you can plan out the day before, definitely do that, because again, the more prepared you are, the more it cuts down on your stress and anxiety. Prepare your interview kit. The kit is going to be whatever you want it to be, whatever you feel like you need. I know when I interview, I usually take like a black pad folio that looks very professional. And then it has a pen on the inside. It has a notebook so I can write down my questions or any important information they give me. It has a copy of my resume, copy of the job description, sometimes copy of my references, just in case they want them. That's like super duper old. I don't know that they even do that anymore. They'll do that, but more so on the application as for your references. But that is what my interview kit looks like, because I want to make sure that whatever I have available, it's there and I don't have to go searching through a bag or whatever. I like to have everything just in that pad folio that could look like I am organized and ready to go. And then practice interviewing with a friend who will provide you honest feedback. So practice. And also talk to yourself in the mirror if that's something that you want to do and or see how you're showing up. You could also record yourself and then play that back and recognize your body language as well. because your body language is definitely important. You want to, you want to be sitting up like, yeah, I'm confident, I'm ready, and I can do this. Kind of leaning in just a little bit, not like too aggressive to where it looks weird. But you want to show them that, like, hey, I'm here and I'm ready. Here are some questions. I would suggest take a picture of this slide. This will help you do your research regarding the company, what it is that they do. So these are some questions you can answer as you scroll through their website. And I would also suggest scrolling through their social media to kind of see, the things that they're doing day to day. Usually the website is something that's super duper huge, and they've, put the website up a couple years ago, and every so often they'll update it. But social media pages, you can see what they're doing in real time to get like a real feel of how they're showing up for their customers and how they're showing up within the community. And here's additional sources of information. We mentioned the company website. You can look at their annual reports, professional associations, newspapers, magazines. Google is everyone's best friend. So obviously, that's usually where we start, right? It's like, oh, let me put San Diego Housing Commission in here and see what comes up. And then, as I mentioned, their social media platforms. Here's an example of other items that may go into your interview kit. So I mentioned copies of the resume and of the job description, pen and notepad. You may want to have some work examples that match up with the job responsibilities. So if you're interviewing for a web design position, then you may want to have a portfolio of work that you've done for people in the past. You want to have your list of questions for the interviewer, and again, any professional or personal references. And that concludes what we have for you regarding tips for a positive interview. What questions do you all have?
I don't have any questions in the chat box. If you guys have questions, make sure you put them in the chat box, or feel free to unmute yourself. We are here to support you guys, and Tanisa gave a lot of great tips right now, but if you guys have personal experiences or have any questions in regards to more tips on positive interview, feel free to unmute yourself. No questions?
You guys must be ready to go. That's good.
Well, great job, Tanisa.
No problem.
Also, just note, utilize your workforce readiness specialist for mock interviews. If you guys have interviews coming up, make sure that you guys are reaching out to prepare for that as well. That is what we're here for, to help you with that as well. So just note that.
Yep.
Yes, and then we also have some workshops coming up next week, I believe. On Monday, we have when income decreases but bills don't. We have a workshop at 10 a.m. on Monday. And then we have another one in Spanish, in case you guys are needing one in Spanish. It's the same concept with when your income but decreases but your bills don't, but that's in Spanish at 1. And then Tuesday, we have 10 keys for professional success at 11 a.m. And Thursday, we have work ethics and critical thinking at 11 a.m. as well. So make sure you reach out to your workforce readiness specialist if you need that link. And thank you for attending today.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye.